So hello and welcome back to Left versus Right. I'm Anthony Weiner on the left, Dominic Carter on the right. We're back for another week of the side-by-side issue debates in the year 2024. So let me start you out with an easy one. We all experienced an earthquake on Friday. Tell me how it was Joe Biden's fault.
That's good. That's good.
You'll find a way.
That's good. That's good. No. You're going to find a way to say that the earthquake was Trump's fault.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, I mean, yesterday, right, it stopped the whole region. Many states were shut down the Holland Tunnel 4.8. Mayor Adams holding a briefing at the emergency center. Did it surprise you?
Well, I got to tell you, if that was a 4.8, our debates must be a 5.3 or something.
Yeah.
We're causing more ruckus than that.
Yeah.
I did finally get an alert from the city about 40 minutes after I had called every relative. I mean, it was not exactly a newsflash after a while.
Did you feel it?
Totally. We're down by Lower Manhattan. I live not far from Stuytown. Mm-hmm. You know, the L train runs there, and every once in a while you'll hear a little vibration from the L. Right. I knew this was something bigger than that.
So you had an idea.
Totally. What about you? Where you were? You were.
I didn't feel it.
No kidding.
I didn't feel it at all. Yesterday, every now and then, I like to ride in New Jersey Transit just to relax on the train, and so I didn't feel anything until I started seeing the bulletins.
Yeah, it was very noticeable. It went on for about 4 or 5 seconds. Like I said, at first I thought it was the train running underneath my building, and then I said, no, this is something serious. This is not the first earthquake. I was in one once when I was visiting Alaska on a congressional delegation trip. There was one there, too. They're obviously much more common there. It got to tell you, here's the thing. All of this, and now the day after tomorrow, we're going to have the solar eclipse because obviously Donald Trump has had too many of those cheeseburgers. He's blocking out the sun now. See what I did there?
Yeah. So we've had 2 minutes of agreement.
That's right. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Let's do this now.
Let's get into the first issue, and it's the one that seems to be dominating the news. It's the number one issue that voters say. It's about immigration. A lot of immigration news this week. One, Trump gives a very hot speech where he calls immigrants animals. The courts say the Biden administration has to keep kids in a safe place even before they've been processed. And we have this, like you've been saying on your show, an epidemic of squatters. I don't really know what's an epidemic and what's not, but which of those three do you want to start with?
I guess, first of all, you had a great show today.
Thank you.
So let's start. So I got the compliment out of the way.
There you go. That's your one. I know I'm not going to get another this hour.
Bright and early, and you got to promise that you're not going to rip up the script and throw it in the air.
Hey, let's look at the script gate. First of all, the first time I brought in statistics, I handed them to you, tore it up.
That's true.
Then
you're right.
Last week, I said, why are we even bothering with the rundown?
That's right.
And you said, tear it up again. It's been you that's been doing the damage to the paper around here.
All right, fair enough. You're right.
But immigration's a good issue for Donald Trump, or so I've heard.
Okay, so let's start with the animal comment, right? What did Trump say that was bad?
Well, immigrants were a city of immigrants. I'm sure immigrants were insulted by that. I mean, it's one thing to say that if you're a criminal, you're a bad person, but to somehow say that these people lining up to come into our country, like so many other have, are animals or vermin or anything like that, that's totally unfair.
Trump was referring to people that are accused of very, very bad crimes. And he preferenced it by bringing up Laken Riley, the 22-year-old nursing student in Georgia. And I think, Anthony, if you poll most Americans, this is what Democrats don't understand about Trump. Democrats don't get it as to why he resonates. When he refers to the alleged murderer of Laken Riley and others as animals, this is why he resonates. Because what would you call someone like that that's accused of this crime?
What he says, we're going to have the largest deportation in American history, Operation Wetback, he calls it, to collect 13 million people. A lot of people undocumented in this country are contributing to our economy. We probably bought coffee from one of them today. You might have driven on the train with one of them. We saw people fall into the river in Maryland who were immigrants. It's one thing to say, I don't like criminals and they're all scum. Fine. People have been saying that since the age of Frank Rizzo back in Philadelphia. But when a presidential candidate refers to the vermin and distorting the blood of our country and referring to the great replacement theory, that's not just about the criminals. That's about the idea that we're no longer a majority white country, isn't it?
I don't know if I would go that far. But I would say Sometimes you have to call a spade, and he's referring to the alleged criminals because he said it.
Well, he didn't in this case.
With law enforcement officials standing behind him.
How did you feel about that, though?
About what?
Well, law enforcement officials standing on a political stage with a candidate.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Well, it doesn't happen in New York. We have strict rules against that kind of thing. Frankly, you know what? When you're a police officer, you've got to trust the police officer's not doing politics when he pulls you over, right? I mean, and I think it's very unsettling to have a bunch of police officers standing on stage with a political candidate referring to a large part of our population as being vermin and being scum and being animals.
But what I find more unsettling, and what I think the American people find more unsettling, and I say this with much due respect, Democrats... The party left me a long time ago. Democrats have become the party to represent criminals. What's up with that, Mr. Weiner?
Well, let me ask you, do you support immigration?
Of course.
Okay, we all do, right? We're a nation of immigrants. In our listening audience, we probably have more immigrants than anywhere else on earth. When you start saying immigration is our problem, immigrants are distorting our bloodline, immigrants are vermin. Listen, I have no problem if someone points to an individual story. We now know from the statistics that first-generation people who are not born in this country are less likely to do crimes, not more likely to do crimes. This is the worst kind of race baiting that we shouldn't accept no matter what our party is.
It's not race baiting. It's calling the situation for what it is. You have a number of high-profile crimes throughout the country where they've been committed allegedly by migrants, and it starts with the fact that they're not even supposed to be here. I know you're going to say they're here legally, but they're not. They've jumped the line. They've come into the country, and it is what it is. But Democrats, and this is really bothering me, Mr. Weiner, because up in Albany, we have Assembly Republicans telling Democrats, come on, it's time to get tough on crime. Democrats are pandering and willing to do anything for the vote to stay in office while America's cities and the countries are going under because Democrats have become the party of crime.
I know, but you just got done saying that Democrats are pandering. So that means they're doing what they believe is popular. Now, I believe that we should have tougher laws in all kinds of things. You recently said on this show that we should put all shoplifters in prison, meaning making a misdemeanor a felony. But you've also talked about some things that yours are non-stories. You spend a lot of time on your very fine program, which is on every weekday at midnight, every weekend midnight, about the squatter. I've heard you call it an epidemic. Dominic, can you show me any evidence that a couple of high-profile stories in the New York Post and Fox News going crazy about something makes something an epidemic? This is just, you want to talk about pandering. I mean, there have probably been a half dozen cases of squattering. If you go back and Google it, it wasn't even in the papers all of last year, and suddenly it's an epidemic. Cut it out.
Do you really believe that it's not an epidemic?
I do. I actually can't find any evidence that it is.
Okay, so what about in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills? Squatters taking over a home in the same vicinity of LeBron James, not paying a dime. Okay, wait. Let's bring it full circle locally. How would you feel if you were the Queens homeowner in which the squatters are now suing you and they showed up in court with a receipt that said Shake Shack, Jamaica Avenue, and that's their proof that for a receipt from Shake Shack that they should
Dominic,
be at the house.
We have disputes over who has the ownership of a property all the time. If these are civil things between people and they go into court for them, you want to make it criminal? You want to have any time two people argue over who has a right to a house that it becomes a criminal thing? Here's the point I'm making. You talk to me about pandering. If you go and look at how many times squatters was mentioned, it started about a month ago with the New York Post and Fox News and now your show. This is the classic case of inventing an issue. You can't give me a single statistic to show me it's up at all. This is like shark attacks.
No, first of all, let's peel this back. So you don't have a problem with some bum just showing up to somebody's house and trying to take it from them?
Do Do I have a problem with some bum somewhere walking up to someone's house? I got a lot of things on my plate. That ain't one of them. But if two people want to fight about who has a right to a house, why is it? Then fine. But
okay, but only one paid for the house.
Then they're going to have a civil trial to work that out.
But why should they even be entitled to make that
All right,
argument?
let me ask you, should they do what they're doing in Florida? That now cops have to go interceding in every landlord-tenant dispute?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you want cops doing that, and you don't want them on the subway. You don't want them stopping fentanyl.
Respond, and the cops should throw these bums out.
How does a cop determine?
As a matter of fact, these bums should be arrested.
The cops have to
fraud.
The cops have to determine the facts of the case, and there's right now it's a civil penalty.
Okay,
it's not.
okay,
This is a possession of a property.
But Mr. Weiner,
here's the thing. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is what I mean about Democrats have become the party of crime.
It's not a crime. It's not a crime. It's a civil problem.
Mr. Weiner. So you think it's legit? First of all, what about
there are civil disputes all the time in this world? I don't get ticked off about them.
What about the Queens homeowner, the other one, where she was arrested because she had enough and she changed the lock?
And what about the landlord that harassed the tenant who had every right to be there? Are we going to have cops go to all of these cases?
Okay, but Mr.
You just
Weiner,
are trying to make some. This is
Mr.
the Fox
Weiner.
News Dominic Carter phenomenon of creating. I guarantee we won't hear about this in a month. This will be gone. Just like woke stuff. You guys don't talk about woke anymore. Now you're talking about this. Okay. It's a fabricated issue and just a classic case. You ask a neighborhood beat cop if he wants to go to every landlord-tenant dispute.
Okay, but I cannot believe it's like Democrats are becoming socialists, communists. What are you listening to yourself?
What are you
right
talking
now?
about? How's it social? I believe in the civil system rather than the criminal system for this.
These squatters use the receipt from Shake Shack. Where you tell the worker you give your name and
look into the camera. Tell me why someone should care.
Well, okay. Which camera do you want me to look into?
I don't know. We got a whole bunch of here in these fancy studios.
I'm going to look into this camera. You should care that if you went and got $1 million mortgage and you've worked hard your entire life and some bum comes along and they sneak into your property and they present to the court. You asked me to look into the camera. I'm doing it. And they present to the court a $25 receipt from Shake Shack that has Jamaica Avenue, and that's their claim to quote unquote take your property. You better care because you're about to lose everything. You want
me to look into a camera now?
Yes, your turn.
If they do that, there's not a judge in the land that's going to rule against you.
Okay, eventually.
What do you mean eventually? It's a civil case. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You make up your mind. Stay in the lane here. You either think the police should treat it as a criminal act or you think the court should be faster in landlord-tenant court. I believe that landlord-tenant court should be much faster, but I believe the instances of tenants being harassed by landlords, tenants turning off the heat to try to get someone out, tenants jacking up rents artificially, tenants harassing them, that's a problem. But I don't want police officers who I want on subway platforms out cracking down on fentanyl and stopping crimes. I don't want them litigating whose receipt from Shake Shack they believe.
So answer this for me. Mr. Weiner now inherited $1.5 million house. $1.5 million. And you're not staying there yet. And you go to the home and you find it's a home for you and your son. And you find squatters are there. And now you don't have any rights.
You mean if you find someone's trespassing on your property? No, you can certainly call someone in that case.
Okay, no. They're now squatters.
Wait, hold on. You mean they're on your property?
Let me finish.
What say what squatter means?
Oh, okay, let me finish. I'm trying to tell you. And they claim when the police come that they can prove that they've been there for 30 days.
And the police believe them.
Listen, it's not what the police believe.
It is in this case.
No,
it's trespassing.
No, it's not. If they can, that's why I brought up the receipt from Shake Shack. If they can come up with any documentation that shows they've been there for 30 days, Mr. Weiner, that just inherited that house, has got a big problem, and you've got to go to housing
First of all, it's different in different states. The adverse possession laws are different, and every state has one. For example, what if you showed up and that family shows a lease? Then the police officer, I say, I don't believe the lease. I believe the guy that's calling me. Yeah, you have fact-finding that goes on in a trial. The only question is, one, is this a big problem? You have yet to show me a single statistic, and I went and looked it up this morning. I couldn't find any statistics on it. Two, well, no, that's not true. I did find the FBI saying this is such a small problem, we don't even keep track of it. Two, you have a problem where you want to get a cop involved in every little dispute that someone has. I want them solving crimes. I don't want them solving a dispute about whether a Shake Shack.
No. You don't want them solving crimes, because if they're solving crimes, that goes against turning out the Democratic vote.
Okay, because Democrats like crime.
Democrats do like crime.
Okay, so
the party left me a long time ago.
Okay, in that case, Joe Biden as pro-crime would be super popular. I don't get what your point is. How are we catering to... Nobody likes crime.
Well, if Democrats don't like crime, why does it seem like you guys are tolerating it at every turn?
Well, all I can say is that crime came down lowest under Bill Clinton and any other president. All right, let's move on to one other element of the immigration thing, because this is an interesting one.
Okay.
So the courts, a group went into court and said that all of these people who are waiting at the southern border, who have not been processed, they're waiting to ask for asylum. They're not even in the possession of customs yet. There's just of Customs Border Enforcement. They're just waiting in these open air places. The court has said it doesn't matter that they haven't even asked for asylum yet. You've got to take care of them, especially the children. Now, here's what I found interesting about the case. Now, we all care about children. We know that children are victims in this. They're not perpetrators. But here's what I found interesting. This court case talked about all these people who are waiting to check in with a border officer. They're not sneaking in. They're waiting there to say, I declare asylum, give me a piece of paper. So much for them being fentanyl creeps, so much for them for being terrorists. These are all people waiting. So now, because we could not pass laws to have better facilities, now we're all going to have to pay because we got to do all this emergency spending. This is what the whole compromise was about, is processing these people in a smarter way.
Are you serious? So if you want to process them in a quote-unquote smarter way, it starts at the top of your party, the president of the United States, that did not care about immigration until this election year came and until he could turn around and try and flip the script and say it's Trump that's blocking this. Right?
Well, it is.
No, it's not Trump. What happened?
How should we solve this problem? What does Trump say you should do about this problem?
What happened prior to this? What initiatives did Biden push?
In 2019, let's go all the way back. 2019, right. Donald Trump gave a speech in the Oval Office where he said, I need new laws to enforce this and I need more money. That was Donald Trump who said it.
Okay.
Joe Biden's saying basically the same thing.
But Trump is not the president. What has Biden
I'm saying
done?
You said, well, what used to be the problem?
What I'm saying is, what has Biden done?
Biden inherited the same exact problems.
Oh, now he inherited. Okay.
That's the point I'm making.
That's code language. That's code language. Whenever one says inherited, that means
these laws have been broken.
That means I don't have an
these laws have been broken a long time. You remember the migrant caravans under Donald Trump? These laws have been broken the longest time. This same exact law, this same exact court was the one that also said to Donald Trump that you can't separate families. These laws need to be updated. Why don't you want to update them?
Update them, but it starts with
the president. Trump said don't update them. And Trump told his monkeys in the House of Representatives, don't even bring it to a vote.
Trump has said that because now we're in an election year. All of a sudden,
so it's not Biden who's politicking. It's Trump who's politicking.
All of a sudden. So what did Biden do prior to
He's had more arrests and deportation than any president in American history, and we're still getting overrun. We need better laws.
And you know my response to that is southern border. Southern border, Biden lets them in. Don't believe me. Talk to the officials at the border and see what they say.
Well, the union representing those officials supported the compromise, but I'll give you the last word.
The last word is that this administration should be ashamed of itself for what's going on at the border. And that's why Trump is ahead in the polls, and that's why Trump is going to win the election.
Let's hear about the polls when we get back. It's Anthony Weiner on the left, Dominic Carter on the right. So great to have you along. So welcome back to Left versus Right. If you like what you hear here, I'm Anthony Weiner on the left, Dominic Carter on the right. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can now get access to this program. Obviously, you can listen to us every Saturday, but also as a podcast on the Red Apple Podcast Network. And now, Dominic, I can't believe they're still doing this. They're filming this for YouTube, and as usual, you look impeccable. I look like I just rolled out of bed. Is this part of your style that you want to get a visual advantage over me?
But you're the athletic one, so
that's fair enough.
So that's an advantage that you have over me.
That's fair enough. And don't think that our viewers who don't get this as a live stream, they get it shortly thereafter, don't think they haven't noticed that your posture is much more combative this week. I don't know what that's about. So let's get to the next issue, and you alluded to it just before we went to the break. We had primaries in more states, including our state of New York. Interestingly, the primary in a swing state of Wisconsin, and both parties have some reason to be concerned. A lot of people left their ballots blank for Joe Biden as a protest for his theoretically as protests of his policies dealing with Israel and the war against Hamas. But a lot of Trump voters, a lot of Republican voters rather, still didn't cast a vote for Trump, voted for DeSantis when he was on the ballot, voted for Nikki Haley, about the same number, about 25%. I think that's worrisome for Trump, but I'm sure you think it's worrisome for Biden also.
Well, first of all, Mr. Weiner, here's one of the things I've found fascinating. So what we're referring to, the primaries that were held in New York,
Connecticut, Wisconsin,
Rhode Island, and Wisconsin.
Correct.
And I believe Trump won Wisconsin by about a little more. He barely won Wisconsin by about 10,000 votes, give or take.
What are you talking about?
The last election, Trump versus
Biden, but
right.
Biden did.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is this: all of this forecasting and predicting based on primaries that don't even count, that primaries that are irrelevant, I think it's a waste of time. But I hear you. You want to focus on it. I just want to say this: I recall when I was in Wisconsin a few years ago. I've been to Wisconsin many times, and what I find is that people like you and I, we pay attention to every single detail, but the voters don't. I venture to say that there are many people in Wisconsin, and this is not to offend the electorate, that don't even know that Trump's rivals are no longer in the race. And perhaps on the Democratic side as well. But I think it's more a bad reflection. If we're going to analyze Tuesday, I think it's more of a bad reflection definitely on Biden, because he's bending over backwards doing cartwheels and so on to disrespect Israel to please Arab American voters in Michigan.
Why
Wisconsin.
are pro-Palestinian voters voting against him in a protest? It's not making any sense then, if he's been so strongly Palestinian.
Okay, what's going on is the Palestinian American communities have said, when we say jump, Mr. Biden, you better jump.
And he obviously isn't.
And no, he is jumping.
So why are they protesting?
First of all,
why do Palestinian voters hating what Biden's doing if he's been bending over for them? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Don't you think they know better than you?
No. What's going on is Biden realizes, you said let's analyze these votes.
Yeah.
So you have Arab Americans that are voting non-committal to the Democratic nominee, and if he loses those votes, he loses the election.
Right, why are they doing that?
So what does he, because they feel that he's not protecting.
Bingo. Because he's being a very strong supporter of Israel.
No.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say that he's losing all these voters that care about Palestinians.
What he did by calling up Netanyahu and then releasing to the public that if you're not more concerned with protecting the people, then the U.S. policy may change. It's utterly disgusting and nothing more than election year politics.
Well, let me ask you this. This week, we haven't heard Donald Trump. We talked about this on the show. Donald Trump has not said very much about the Israel conflict with Hamas. And then he was asked about it this week. He was asked by you, Hewitt, are you 100% with Israel? And he wouldn't answer yes. He said Israel's losing the PR war. Prime Minister Netanyahu has to get over it, he said. He has to get back to normalcy. I'm not sure that I'm loving the way they're doing it. This is Donald Trump ripping Bibi Netanyahu. So don't try to get high ground on me about supporting Israel. What Donald Trump...
Is Trump in the White House? Is Trump in the White House right now?
He's a candidate for president.
Is he in the White House?
Is he in the White House?
Can Trump...
So we should ignore that he's chopping out the knees of Israel.
Withhold aid to Israel. Can he do that now?
No, thank God, no.
Who's the only person that can do that?
The president elected officials that Donald Trump does not want.
Wait.
So therefore, I should not care about his position.
The president is the only one.
Should I care about Donald Trump's?
Okay.
Oh, so I can't debate Donald Trump's position on things?
No,
I can do it on immigration, but I can't do it on this?
No, you can debate.
Of course. So let me read some more of these.
Go ahead.
This is what Donald Trump is saying. Mr. Strong on Israel, Donald Trump.
Okay.
You're criticizing Biden for chopping on the knees.
He's a lot stronger on Israel than Biden is.
Oh, no. Listen to this. Israel has to be very careful because they're losing a lot of support. Finish up your war, he said. He's been very critical of Bibi Netanyahu. And by the way, you know what's interesting about what Donald Trump said?
No, you're misinterpreting his comment.
Oh, am I?
All he's stating is get it done faster, complete the mission as soon as possible, because the world is not siding with you. What you're not factoring into that quote is the anti-Semitism worldwide.
Wait a minute, you think the world is saying do it faster?
No.
That doesn't make any sense. You're not paying attention.
That's what Trump is saying.
Trump is saying, I'm not loving the way they're doing it. You have to have a victory. It's taking a long time. Get it over with.
Okay, so what does get it over with mean?
Get back to normalcy.
Right, meaning do what you got to do. If you're going into Rafah, whatever you're going to do it.
How
get
come
it,
he
get it
doesn't
over
say he
and done
supports
with.
Israel 100%? I know I do.
How come he what now?
How come he refuses to say he supports Israel 100%?
Wait,
because he doesn't.
You
No,
just said
Trump.
I got it.
Trump,
wait, you
Trump.
said you support Israel 100%?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
By the way, supporting a two-state solution is good for Israel.
okay, but
You know what's interesting about these comments by Trump? You know what they sound like?
go ahead.
They sound like Chuck Schumer. You should be very concerned about the way this appears. I'm not sure I'm loving the way they're doing it. You're taking a very long. You're losing the PR war. Trump said he's not wrong about those things, right?
Can I give you an
Is
interpretation?
he wrong that Israel is losing the PR war?
Can I give you an interpretation of that?
Go ahead.
Senator Schumer, let's put it in a comparison that everyone can understand. Senator Schumer is the right guard pulling on a sweep to block for Joe Biden with this election. That's all this is pandering by Democrats who could care less. It's all about the warning. Let me finish. They see the warning signs that Biden is about to lose the election.
Right, Biden is having a real problem with pro-Palestinian voters on his left. Do we agree on that?
Why?
Because he's being too strongly supportive of Israel.
No.
Okay, what's your explanation?
No, because he's not doing what they want. They
Being
want
too
him to cave even more.
Listen, I think what you're defining now is what it means to be the president of the United States. You're never going to make everyone completely happy, but you have to be strong and say clearly what your values are. And he says clearly what his values are. He supports Israel. And that's not what Trump will do.
And
Trump has not
supporting
done that.
Israel is picking up the phone and telling Netanyahu that we're going to change.
Hells yes.
No.
Bibi Netanyahu has, just the same way he has protests on the streets of his country.
Why did Biden have to announce that publicly? What was the point of that?
Doing a readout of a call with the foreign leader is
Why?
not to make it clear what the U.S. policy is.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, this should be the U.S. policy. What happened? What has been going on there is not good for Israel. When you have a situation where the IDF is blowing up aid workers from the World Kitchen Rescue, that's terrible for Israel.
Right. And let's look at
agree or disagree.
Of
course.
Let's look at how Israel handled that. They owned it. We made a mistake. We made a big problem.
Totally.
We're sorry for it. Right.
Yeah.
What about, I notice in all of your rhetoric, you're not saying about the people of Israel that were attacked October 7th.
No, we're not talking. We're talking about today right now.
But why?
I can do. I've spent hours and hours and hours talking about that. We can do it now.
Okay,
but
can
we're
let me hear a little
about,
bit. Can I hear a little bit of it?
Okay, let's do a little bit of it. There's one country in that part of the world, surrounded by 20 other countries, that since 1948 and even before has said to every possible peace option, yes, 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 and every opportunity the Palestinians have said no. We are going to elect in 2005 Hamas. We are going to put people in the West Bank, in Gaza, that in the West Bank that are unable to govern. And every time there has been opportunities for peace, the Palestinians said no. And every time they had an opportunity to turn away these terrorists, they didn't. Now you've got Gaza filled with Hamas. You've got Hezbollah in the north. You've got all of the countries of the world supporting those organizations. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that Israel is still at this continual state of war. All of that being said, the fact that Israel was unprepared for this falls on the head of Bibi Netanyahu. And don't take my word for it. That is the consensus in Israel and consensus around the world.
But I notice you're not criticizing Hamas for what they did.
I just did.
No. You gave me a history lesson, I believe, going back to 1948. I just want you, please, Mr. Weiner, so that I can understand that we're both dealing with reality here. Focus on October 7th.
We are having a conversation here.
What I just heard from you was that Israel was not prepared. It's Israel's fault.
We're having a conversation about a call between Biden and Bibi Netanyahu 3 days ago. Okay, we can go back and do those shows again. Now let's talk about today.
Okay,
we are here today.
But to please me, can you reference what happened October 7th?
All right, I'm going to go reference. You can get comfortable. This is going to take a while. On October 7th, in a violation of an existing a ceasefire, Hamas crossed over an international border, crossed into Israel, and raped and massacred and slaughtered people and took prisoners. And those prisoners are still being held to this day. That's an immutable fact. Shall I continue?
No, I'm
Okay, now let's get back to doing the news. This is the news of the week.
I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you.
Dominic.
I mean,
Dominic,
a Democrat.
Dominic, you can live.
You told the truth once.
Dominic, you can live
Is
to
that
be.
going to jeopardize your ambassadorship?
Dominic, you can live to be 300 years old. You won't do half what I've done for Israel in my life. So just back off. Okay, settle down. Just settle. You discovered Israel on October 7th. I've been working on their behalf my entire career.
All right.
So just settle down. We're having a week in review, and don't try to make yourself to be a stronger Zionist than I since you read an article in Time Magazine or in Fox News. Settle down, Pedal. Settle down.
What have you done for Israel? What have you done for Israel? Tell me.
Well, I've devoted my entire career to advocating for them in the United States Congress. Spent my entire career.
Which benefits you.
How does it benefit me?
Because you're elected to represent the community, right?
Well, so therefore what? I did the right thing, and therefore you don't like the reasons I did the right thing? How about I did the reasons because it's deeply in my soul as a Jewish man?
Well, I would hope that it wouldn't have to be because
Dominic.
You
want to do a week in review, or you want to keep going down this slippery slope talking to me about how much I've done for Jews?
No, I just want you to tell the truth about what happened October 7th.
No, I already did that. Now you're talking about my career and calling my career into question.
No, I'm not.
You must have been sleepwalking while you were in New York one not to realize I was one of those strongly pro-Israel members of Congress, and you must have been sleepwalking while you're here. Now I know you want to win a debate, but there's no reason to try to tear down my Zionism.
And now that you've told the truth about what happened.
No, not now. Don't say now. I've been telling the truth about Israel my entire career. You don't want to talk about Donald Trump, and I get it, but don't insult my Zionism.
Why not? Why don't you tell the truth now about why your party is pro-crime? Why don't you tell the truth about that?
We're not going to change the subject until you
I'm not changing the subject.
You are. You were talking about my career. My career as a Zionist.
5 weeks.
My career as a Zionist. No. You don't insult my career. You don't insult my career and my values.
You brought up your career.
You said, "What have you done for Israel, my friend?"
After you said to me,
you said, "What have you done for Israel?" As if to imply I have not done something for Israel.
You said to me, "You're the one."
And I'm not going back to crime until we put a bow on this subject.
No. You're the one that said to me, you've done much more for Israel than I have.
That's right. After you said, what have you done?
You said that first, and then I followed up by saying, okay, what have you done for Israel?
Okay, I heard it very differently. I heard, what have you ever done for Israel?
The fact that you heard it differently, you can't blame me for that.
No, I can blame you for that.
Okay,
the intimation that if anyone listening to this program gets the impression that you are somehow impugning me as either a Jew or a Zionist, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, here we go. Let's
go to a break.
Okay.
Welcome back to Left versus Right. Anthony Weiner on the left, Dominic Carter on the right. At Dominic TV on Twitter X. I am at Rep Weiner, but also at WeinerWABC at gmail.com. So you brought up crime a few times. It seems like getting here locally to Eric Adams, he is getting protested on his left. He had a really tough interview on a radio show, The Breakfast Club, where he was criticized for swamping the subways. And on the right, some people think that he's been fudging the numbers on crime. Now, does that mean that he's getting it exactly right, or is he really not satisfying anyone with his position on crime? And by the way, is crime up in New York?
Perception is reality, as you know. Perception is reality.
Why is that?
And the perception is that New York is completely out of control. And I still, whether you like it or not, whether you get upset or not, whether you storm off or not, I still want to know, why are Democrats the party that is pro-crime? It's disgusting.
Can you point to a single Democrat who says they're in favor of crime? I'll hold while you do your research.
Well, Carl Hasty.
He said he's in favor of crime?
Carl Hasty, the Speaker of the Assembly, has said numerous times that he does not want to increase penalties for those that engage in attacks on retailers.
He didn't say he was pro-crime. What he says,
that's essentially
he says there's already laws. Look, is he wrong that there's already crimes against? What should there be a higher crime for assaulting a radio personality? Should there be a higher crime for assaulting a teacher? Should be a higher crime for a shopkeeper? Should be a higher crime? Well, to be honest with you, assault laws assume that we're all equal and we all have a right not to be assaulted. That's what he's saying. But you said that Democrats are pro-crime. Can you point to anyone who said that they are?
And I don't need to point to.
You said why did Democrats constantly being pro-crime? So let me see one that says they're pro-crime.
Okay, wait. You're trying to play in a bad way this game of got you, and it's not going to work with me. you know damn well that your party sympathizes with criminals.
Show me one person. Show me one person. Show me one person. You're not going to get away with saying it without some evidence. Show me one person who says that. Who says they sympathize with criminals?
I can point to things you have said here. Between you and
I've said 50 times all I'm against all crime and there should be no crime in the city. I want there to be no crime in the city. I'm against all crimes.
Okay, so
you've heard me say that.
So here's
I don't want there to be any crimes.
So here's something that I brought up to your attention, and here's something that is dominating the headlines, and I still haven't heard you denounce it. We've had yet
Can we do
another,
the pro before you change? You said you were going to tell me who the pro-crime Democrats are.
We've had yet another example of a woman being punched in the face.
That's terrible.
And
I'm against that.
I have not yet heard you once.
I'm against it.
Speak out against.
I'm against anyone getting punched in the face. Now tell me who the Democrats are.
Now what about
who are the Democrats that are
suspects that are charged in those cases that walk out of the courtroom before the police can finalize the paperwork?
Before they have a trial?
I'm not even talking about a trial. I mean from the moment of arrest.
Before they have a trial?
Yes.
That's okay. I don't, there's 1,000 cases where people, millions maybe, where people are not held in prison until they have a trial.
That's what I mean about pro-crime.
So you're against having trials? I'm lost. Go ahead. You make a big point. You made a gesture like you made a big point. What's your point?
This whole argument is wrong.
Well, tell me your position so I can tell you why it's wrong. But first I need to know what it is. You're saying that people who are arrested should go to jail before they have a trial?
That if okay.
By the way, I'm still waiting for the pro-crime Democrat you were going to point to.
One woman's jaw had to be rewired.
Yeah, it's terrible. Anyone who gets punched in the face, I'm against that.
But
I'm against it. 100% against it. And you're against it too. So we agreed. Let's move on. You said that you don't think people should be released before they have trials. Okay. Therefore,
no, that's not what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What I said was
actually what you said.
When they're initially arrested, they should not be released with no bail, and they should not be released.
They get arraigned. Unless they get a desk appearance ticket, they get arraigned.
Mr. Weiner, they walk out of the courtroom.
They get arraigned.
And why has
be an arraignment judge? There are millions of arraigned cases.
Why has the arraigned process changed? Why has it changed?
The arraigned process hasn't changed.
Yes, it has.
In what way?
It changed to the degree of judges would have, at least in New York State, they would have some discretion over whether or not to release someone or whether or not to set a bail amount.
No, that's incorrect. Cashless bail is just said whether you can set cash bail for things that someone else is eligible for getting out without cash. So that's another example. So if two people had two things that are nonviolent and they both had bail set for $500, one person, usually black people, can't raise the $500. So they get to stay in Rikers. The other person who has $500 gets to go home. That's not fair. Do you agree that that's not fair?
I'm not going. I'm not.
So the law just
fixed
that.
I'm not going to.
The law just fixed that unfair thing. The two people who commit the same crime are treated differently.
No. What the law in New York State did was the Democrats said, "Okay, this is what you want me to do. I'll pander.
That's not a law.
I'll pander.
That's not a law.
Whatever you want, we will give it to you so that we can stay in power as the state is going down."
So you say something.
Because of crime and pro-crime
You say
Democrats.
something. I demonstrate that it's factually wrong, and you pivot to some bumper sticker.
Okay, wait.
Stick to the you're against the arraignment changes, right? So tell me what the arraignment changes that you don't like. All the no cash bail said that if you have two crimes and one person can afford to bring the $500 and walk home, the other person should not stay in Rikers for 2 years and potentially die by suicide.
That's the Democratic spin on it.
That's the law that you don't like.
Democratic spin on it.
Give me your spin on it.
Okay, so my spin on it is you have some animal, right?
An animal now.
Yes, an animal.
So an animal that has $500 is not an animal. Someone who doesn't have $500 is an animal.
So no. So you have some animal, before you cut me off, Mr. Weiner, you have some animal that shattered that woman's jaw in Brooklyn, and he clearly is mentally ill. And before the police can process the paperwork, he's out of jail.
He's clearly mentally ill?
Well, if you look at the video of what happened.
So he doesn't know right from wrong? We
I
don't
know and I don't care.
Well, you just said it. I'm just using your words, Dominic.
No, what you're doing is deflecting.
I'm trying to get the facts of this obscure case you plucked off the pages of the wall of the New York Post and never think through.
No,
you got to think things further than your nose in order to have these conversations with me, because I'm going to put you on the spot.
Excuse me. No, you think you're putting me on the spot.
Well, why are you changing the subject if you're not on the spot?
You're embarrassing yourself. You're not putting me on the spot. This was not a story that was reported initially by the New York Post.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. I'm trying to tell you.
Where'd you get it from, Fox News or TikTok?
If you let me finish, I will tell you who wrote it. I'll even tell you the reporter.
Yeah.
The reporter was Stefan Kim of Channel 7 Eyewitness News. He was the first one to do the story.
That someone got punched. In a city of 8 million people, someone got punched.
So
that's soft on crime Democrats.
Okay.
Was it a Democrat who punched the person?
Okay. Mr. Weiner, can you be serious?
What's the arrangement? What was the arraignment problem you still haven't pointed out for me?
Mr. Weiner, this ain't Congress, and I'm not one of these patsies that you can just walk over.
I know, because in Congress we rely on people to have actual facts every once in a while.
You all sit there bullshitting each other. This is not Congress.
No, if someone stands up and says there's something wrong with the arraignment, and then they can't tell you what it is, and now 15 minutes later you're on some other subject, they wouldn't let you get away with it there either.
Mr. Weiner, who changed the bail laws in New York State? Which party?
The legislature of it was under control of Democrats.
Under control, so Democrats changed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And has it worked out?
I don't. You get to bring evidence that it hasn't.
Can you answer my question? Has it worked out?
If it worked out that people have not waiting in Rikers and some white guy gets to go home, yes, it's worked out, because now we have equality in that.
Now all of a sudden,
you believe that two people commit the exact same crime, accused of the exact same nonviolent crime. One guy can raise the $500, gets to go home. The other guy gets to stay in Rikers and winds up committing suicide when he wasn't even charged with the crime at the end of the day. You think that's okay?
Well, first of all,
do you think that's okay, Dominic? And by the way, those people disproportionately are people of color. Do you think that's okay?
First of all, you're referring to the Khalif Browder case, right?
Which was the inspiration for this.
Right, which is the case that I've been widely quoted on. I'm part of a Netflix series.
Tell me a little bit about
Khalif.
So was that correct? Was it correctly handled simply because he couldn't raise bail?
Okay, see what you're doing right now is
I'm asking you your position. You're having trouble deciding what it is.
No. You're doing what politicians do.
No, I'm trying to ask.
And that is when you don't have an answer.
Holding you accountable.
Try and filibuster.
Holding you accountable.
You
thought Khalif Browder was just fine, I bet. You bought that. You thought that was fine.
No. What happened?
A young black man who could not raise the bail, but if a white guy came in, my son came in, he would have been home. That kid is now dead now. How does that feel?
Okay, you're trying to play the race card, right? And I'm not the one to play the race card.
Hey, hold on a second.
You notice I'm not taking the bait?
Disproportionately, young men of color were the ones that are going off to Rikers when young white guys were going home. For the same exact offense.
But that's not what we're talking about.
That's what bail reform was about. Okay. Now, you might not like to agree with that because you don't apparently know what bail reform was.
Come on, Mr. Weiner.
Tell me what you think it was, pal.
Mr. Weiner,
tell me what you think it was, and we'll compare notes.
Mr. Weiner, you're using an example, the racial example.
I'm using of someone who died.
Okay.
Yes, it just happens to be a large number of black young men who get caught up in this. Yes, that's true, Dominic. I would think you'd be concerned about that.
I am concerned about it, but if a person commits the crime, then it is what it is.
This is not person been found guilty of a crime yet. You know that. This is an arraignment.
Right.
Good grief, I've got to teach you what an arraignment is, and you're the one that was blaming it on Democrats. How about this? Why do Republicans learn what the Constitution says about the Sixth Amendment before we even have a conversation? Should we go to a break while you study what an arraignment is?
Mr. Weiner, if our country continues down this path of what you're articulating right now.
Changing the subject to a bumper sticker
No,
again.
I'm not changing the subject.
Do you know what an arraignment is, Dominic?
I'm telling you. Come on, Mr. Weiner.
Do you know?
You're insulting my intelligence.
You know, Dominic, that's not an accident. I'm actually trying to show that you don't know what an arraignment is.
Mr. Weiner, you're insulting my intelligence.
You said arraignment was broken because you seem to think that's where you go when you commit a crime.
Mr. Weiner, no. What's happening right now is you don't have an answer for why Democrats are soft on crime.
I have explained.
And so you're trying to talk
you asked for an example
all the way around the issue.
I haven't moved.
To get away from
I haven't moved from the bail laws, which you say are the example of your case. So make the case for me.
So will you let me talk for 15 seconds?
Are you gonna focus on this question? It depends.
I'm trying to if you let me.
All right.
Right?
Go ahead. So, you tell me how it is that the bail laws in any way or in any way led to an increase in crime. Go ahead. I'm waiting. And by the way, you can bring any facts you want if you have one.
I'm going to say for the 100th time now, the woman in Brooklyn, all of these women in New York City, things are so bad.
All of these women in New York City?
Okay, so you won't let me.
You can't do all of these women in New York City is not a thing.
Okay, excuse me. All of these women that have been punched in the face, okay? That's not funny, Mr. Weiner.
It's ridiculous. How many
women?
women?
Funny.
It's anyone who gets punched in the face is bad, whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, whether it's a kid. Say all these people. You're telling me what happened.
I just want the public to reflect that he says he wants me to answer the question. I said 4 words and he cut me off again.
You said the Democrats led to the being soft on crime.
You won't let me explain it.
You point to the bail law. Continue about the bail law so I can understand it.
I am trying to if you let me get out more than 4 words. You can't say all these
women in New York and expect to keep going after that.
Okay, Mr. Weiner, I'm going to say again, and I hope you let me get out more than 4 words. All of these women that have been punched in the face, right, by people in New York City, almost all of the suspects that have been charged have been let out. Let me finish, please. Have been let out after being arrested, right? After being arraigned.
On bail?
Now, well, you can call it bail. You can call it whatever you want.
So they were let out on bail?
But they didn't have to. Mr. Weiner,
I just want to know the facts. All these women, I want to know the facts.
Mr. Weiner, they're walking out without
on bail
without posting any money.
Well, that's bail.
Because
wait.
Because the laws in New York State were changed.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. And so, if they're let out on bail, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Mr. Weiner, why don't you just do the show?
I've explained to you. Dominic, I have been trying to educate you on this subject all morning.
It's impossible for you to educate me. To be honest with you.
You say all these women, they went out on bail, but this is because if there's no bail.
Mr. Weiner, let me be clear.
Is there bail or not in New York?
It's impossible for you to educate me.
Trust
me, my brother, when I tell you.
Is there bail in New York or not?
Mr. Weiner, you know that you're playing.
So there is bail in New York
now. You're playing a game.
I mean, yes, this is easy, for me, playing a game. But I'm not playing a game. This is serious.
You don't want.
You want to talk about crime? I want to talk about crime. Why are you running away?
No, I'm not running away. But this is a waste of my time because you're not being factually honest.
I have asked you.
You're not being factually honest.
I explained what the no cash bail law change was.
No.
You haven't told me what you don't like about it.
No, you're not being factually honest.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You're not,
Go ahead. Correct me.
When I hit you with facts, you say...
Go ahead, like which one?
Okay,
all these women.
Finish.
That's a fact.
When I hit you with facts, your response is, name one Democratic official.
Yes, I am curious about that. But you said about the bail laws. Let's get back to bail laws.
Okay, bail laws.
That's your example.
I want to move on because...
No. I know you want to move on. I know you want to move on. You probably want to be nowhere but here right now because I'm finally holding your rhetoric up to examination.
Oh, my God.
So I've explained to you what the bail...
the change up to examination.
I explained to you what the change in the bail laws were. Did you agree that I described it correctly?
Hell no, you didn't describe it.
Okay, you describe it how you think it changed.
Okay. How it
changed, what it was and what it is.
Okay, so now... that's a great question.
Thank you.
What it was, in New York State at least, right? So judges had much more discretion. And judges could post a bail amount. And oftentimes that bail amount, in some cases it was unfair, and it was unfair to people of color. But that bail amount oftentimes meant that someone that possibly committed the crime, that they would at least remain behind bars for X amount of time, whatever that may be.
Unless they had the money, then they can go home, right?
Right.
Okay.
Now, the way the law...
So someone punches someone in the face, they can go home. Another person who's black can't go home.
That's not, no.
That's what you just described. Two people who committed the same crime.
First of all, you cut me off yet again. They might as well just extend your show for a third hour because you're not interested in debating anyone. You're not interested in telling the truth.
The facts.
You're interested in your ambassadorship.
This is left
spin.
versus right, but the facts themselves are not left or right. The facts are just the facts. And I've been trying to describe the change in the law that you blame for so much. But I'll give you the final word.
The final word is that the Democratic Party, I'll finish where I started off at. The Democratic Party left me a long time ago. You guys are interested in catering to Black Lives Matter and to all things that are wrong in New York and around the country. And if it doesn't change, we're going to lose our country. It really is that simple.
Anthony Weiner on the left, Dominic Carter on the right. So great to have you along. Get this on a podcast if you miss any part of it, and tune in next week.